Hey, what's up, guys? This is Pierre. You're listening to Retailer Secrets, and today I have a very special episode for you. Today we have on the show a very special guest. His name is Bob Phibbs. He is known as the Retail Doctor, and if anybody here needs an introduction, it is not the Retail Doctor. He's been for more than 30 years a retail master with a proven track record to help retail stores lift their sales, turn their staff into real salespeople, and get more out of their store traffic with innovative retail marketing tactics. He is a keynote speaker, an author. He's consulting for the biggest retail brands out there, and I cannot wait for you to see everything that we've got for you. So in today's episode, you will get to know the main patterns of failures Bob Phibbs sees in retail stores, how others fast-track their journey to profitability, and you will also get simple and easy implementable tricks to better your sales tomorrow. Today, let's see how you can create sales results without having to discount your product. I've just spent the last decade learning the secrets of sales and marketing. And now I have joined a team of experts with the mission to give retailers the best possible tools for their operations. The real question is, with absolutely zero prior experiences in retail, how am I going to bring you the secrets that you need? This podcast is here to give you the answers. Join me as I learn from the best, how retailers thrive in the world that we know today, and follow along as I share only today's best secrets and practices to grow your retail business. My name is Pierre, and welcome to Retailer Secrets. Welcome, Bob.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have you on because you are by far the first person that showed up on Google, on newspapers, on anything that exists when you type retail. There's Bob Phibbs, and
that's the goal.
Yeah, totally. And I'm assuming you have been doing it for a while, and I know there is a lot that we can learn from you. It seems that a lot of people are learning a lot from you. So I was super excited when you accepted the invitation.
Sure.
The story of the podcast is I am doing everything to learn about retail, and I want to invite everybody to join along as I do and share every experts and people who actually do the work experience. So this is why
I've been doing this for 25 years. So this is my 25th year next month, as a matter of fact. So, people say, oh, what do I do to become a retail expert like you? It's like, get started 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I guess. Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't become something by mistake. No. I understand that that before, I guess, being the retail doctor, yourself was managing retail stores.
I was.
In fact, in the shoe business, wasn't it?
I got my start as a shoe dog. That's right. I put myself through college. Actually, my first jobs were as a janitor when I was in high school, and before that, I did I did door-to-door selling when I was with Boy Scouts, and I knocked on doors to mow lawns, and I sold greeting cards in Toledo, Ohio, in 5th grade during the summer. Personalized greeting cards door-to-door. So I think I always had a knack to be able to sell. There was part of that there. But my story is an interesting journey because I started off saying, well, why am I doing this? This is never going to affect my future. So this is just, holding water. And now I look at it and I say, oh, so that's why I did it. So it's fine.
I guess Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking backward. Right.
I like that. That.
No, that's really awesome. What got you though to start in retail? What got you the idea to start?
Well, basically I don't know what got me to start in retail. That's the only place you found jobs in those days. That was it. You found a job in working in a mall or something, right? Yeah. So we're going all the way back to 1976, long before you were ever born. So, I was getting my degree. I was going to be a conductor. That's where was going to get my degree. And I am a conductor. I certainly, that's another story. But I got my degree in conducting. I put myself through college selling shoes. I was really good at it. And And then I got out, and we're expecting the world to go like, oh, here, we have all of these jobs. We'd love to give this to you, and just please work with us. And it doesn't work that way.
No, it
Once you get
doesn't.
the job, you're like, I gotta go find it. So I I went out on a couple of them, but I had already been in when I was in doing student teaching, and I walked in. I'm a conductor, and so I had to take beginning guitar classes. So I walk in my first day, and there's 30 teenage boys trying to play Stairway to Heaven on untuned guitars. And I just said, you know what? There's not enough gin in the world for me to be able to have this job. I I will not do it. And my counselor at college said, well, at least finish the degree so that you finish the degree. And then if you want, you can go further. And I got into USC, and I was going to get my master's in conducting, and I wrote to a bunch get started, and they're like, oh, you got to be a rehearsal pianist, and I am not that good a pianist. So I said, well, maybe maybe I can stay selling things, and ultimately my part-time job became my career, and I ended up during the 80s I sold cowboy clothes. That's what most people know me for, and by the way, it was very big in the 80s.
Yeah.
So there was Dynasty, there was Dallas. Who Shot JR was really big, and I was in Los Angeles, which is really where the epicenter of it all was. Got the highest increase of sales at South Coast Plaza, the #1 mall in the world. And
Wow.
the owner came down to me and said, what the hell are you doing down here? And I said, it doesn't matter. And he goes, yeah. I go, it doesn't matter. It probably goes, yeah, but you're up against Tiffany's, you're up against Nordstrom's, you're up against all these big brands. How were you able to deliver this? And I said, it doesn't matter what the product is. Unless people feel they matter, they're not going to buy from you. And that's what my crew does. And
Right.
So a couple of years after that, they promoted me, and I was over a bunch of stores. And the owner one day in a meeting says, to a bunch of us, so tell me, what's the company's greatest asset? I said, well, that's easy. It's employees. And he's like, wrong. And I was like, wrong? So then somebody else says, this or that. Nobody gets it right. And so at the end of the meeting, he says, I guess there's about 35 of us there. It's customers. It's customers the most important asset. I was like, So I went to his office afterwards, and I said, our customers can go anywhere. We built this, because I'd worked for him for about 10 years. I said, the only ones that made us successful were employees, and
Right.
they're the ones that are most likely to be able to impact customers. I can't work for a company like this. I'm out in 2 weeks. And they're like, really? And I was like, yep. And I quit. And in fact, the day that I quit, there's a woman, her name is Kathy Mattea. She had a song called Walking Away a Winner, called up the local LA radio station. I go, I want you to play this at 5:00 on Wednesday. And sure enough, they put it on, and it's like walking out into my life again. And it's playing, and my buddies are all like, dude, that was an awesome way to go out. And then I'm like, okay, now what? So for a couple months,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'll be a consultant. I'll consult retailers, and I didn't get much traction. And I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and the one thing I took from Tony was, you better come up with a brand nobody else can do. And literally,
Right.
I left the Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles. I drove home. I filed the paperwork for the retail doctor, and got the trademark at the next morning. And then I got a little coffee company, but that's another story, and how I went up against Starbucks, and that kind of built my credibility from there. But
All right.
it all comes down to, you better have fun doing it, and you better be trying to figure it out. And
Yeah.
retail affords us a chance to find that. So,
Yeah.
more people should be in retail, for God's sake. You learn it's not about you entitled little jerk. It's about somebody else.
Right. I love it. It's all about the style, right? Having fun. I totally agree. And I have a feeling one of the reasons you're such a good advocate to retail is because you don't only defend retail, you also celebrate retail, because
Absolutely.
you know that it is the fun part of being in business. And being in retail, you can definitely enjoy the process, and not a lot of people do, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, you get a chance to make somebody happy. Man,
Yeah,
imagine working in a jewelry store. How many times am I going in like, my dad died, I want to get a new ring? No one does that. It's like, oh,
that's right.
I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. I just got a promotion. It's my dad. You're dealing with people. You're in a workout store. So you have a young woman who
Mhm.
just had a kid. She wants to lose 50 pounds. She got a divorce. She got married. Well, all these interesting stories. And yet we think the interesting stories are on this stupid thing. They
Right,
aren't. The
right.
interesting stories are right in front of you. So yeah, I am
Mhm.
brick and mortar retail's number one champion. Yes, there are things you can do with omnichannel. Yes, there's a million things. I get it, but we have fundamentally forgotten that retail is about opening your heart to another human being. And if you master that, and in fact, if you look at almost every CEO in a top Fortune 500 company, they go back to what they did when they were in either high school or college and worked in retail and learned it's about somebody else before you. And if you get that, I think you can go on and be any artist, any creative, any business tycoon, any educator, any philanthropist once you get that. But if you don't, that lesson's going to come to you somewhere as you get older, and
Yeah.
it's going to be like, you're fired. And until you learn that, I think that's a tough one for most people.
Yeah. Do you see this as being one of the, I guess, the most critical part that businesses don't pay attention to enough? I mean, paying
Retail
attention to their,
Retail is always about people, and I
yeah.
think any business is about people. Either you can speak in complete sentences, you can use your ears to listen to what somebody is saying, restate it to make sure that you understand them, and then be able to compare and contrast or solve, and then add on to get the complete picture, so that when someone comes in contact, you're like, oh, I'm glad I met that guy. I'm glad I met that
Mhm.
girl. If you don't care about them, then it's pretty easy to say, yeah, screw off. They're just a loser. And then you go through your whole life, and now that's your habit of looking at the world. And I can tell you, the world gives that right back to you. So
Yeah.
you're looking for that. You're now going to find it everywhere. So I just think, you know, so many people who are under 35 have never been challenged to have to do that. They
Yeah.
have I heard a little girl in a Central Park a couple months ago, and she was telling her mom she wanted the brie cheese on her hamburger or something in the park. And I'm like, that kid's 6. I think I might have known there was a word named cheese, but I don't think I would have had the opportunity to be that picky at an early age.
Right.
The reality is at some point you're going to have to work for what you want, and you're going to have to be able to realize that, wow, a lot of things that I take as a given, a lot of the rest of the world has to work for. I should respect that and do a better job for my own self. And then you have
Mhm.
a nice family and you make great kids.
Right. The end.
The, and you'll take care of me when I'm old. The
Right.
end.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's not forget that
Instead of
part.
kicking the old guys down the stairs and going, it's our turn, you're
Yeah.
soiling green. There you go.
And I guess in your experience of coaching a lot of retail stores now, do you have do you see a lot of millennial starting stores or retail stores and retail businesses and not really getting those things? Do you see a generational problem at you know entitlement?
Well, that's funny because I spent the winter in downtown Los Angeles recently,
Yeah.
and I was there for 4 months, 3 months, and right in the heart of downtown LA, which is like the new Oz. A lot of cool stuff happening, a lot of buildings going up. It's really interesting. Well, Toronto, a lot like that,
Yeah.
and I got to tell you, there were some interesting little designers there, but God forbid that they could get out from behind their counter and talk to anyone. And I'm like, do you really think that your navy polo shirt for $85
Right.
is like, I have to buy it because it's just so amazing? It's cotton and it's navy. It's like, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
And if your mouth is going to be constipated, then why did you open a store? Because I can tell you, the ones that get it are, they are grateful for that first person they get in the door, and they are making sure that they walk away with a great experience with the brand. So,
Yeah.
to your point, yes, people often open restaurants or retail stores with this, build it and they will come mentality, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, all you are is a small little warehouse of products that you designed, and maybe your world vision is really small and it might work online, but if you're in a brick and mortar store, you got to be able to appeal and get people to say, oh, I want that. And I don't care what you sell. You're selling streetwear, you're selling luxury goods, you're selling food. Unless you connect with a human being, you're thinking your product is just that magical. Well, it isn't. Get over yourself.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you're in retail, you have actually, I believe, the chance to not have to deal with, at the point where the customer walks in the door, to not have to deal with anymore with getting people in the door. They're in the door, and now you have the chance to connect with them. And it's where it all starts, right?
The average person walks into 3 stores in a mall.
3 stores?
If you respect that.
Wow.
Holy crap, this is one of the 3.
That is true, yeah.
If you don't respect that, there'll be another, 200 next week. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe there's only going to be 150 next week.
Yeah. And
only 100, and then you get paranoid and none of it works. So.
And being aware of that actually would make a lot of changes in the way you actually handle somebody walking the door. Right?
I say it with jaded retailers all the time. People in business a long time. I go, when you first started, you would have done anything for a customer, right? Absolutely. My wife and I were doing this and this, great. And our kids doing this and this, hey, great. So what is it now when I go into your store? Well, now things are more relaxed and we don't want to be this. And it's like, yeah, but you're hurting. And ultimately you've given up what you used to define your brand by. And
yeah.
Never good.
No, never good. And it is exactly what I was very recently reading, the Starbucks experience actually. And they were definitely talking about this. And it's actually their first step to I guess their customer service or sales is connect, right?
You gotta find a way.
You got to connect. Bob, I'm super excited to actually dive in some of the things that you currently do. I see you do a lot of stuff, and it's pretty impressive. I mean, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a sales trainer, you're in consulting, you blog. I saw in the last 3 months, you were booked in Atlanta, Phoenix, Mobile, Las Vegas, Stanford, San Diego, Chesterfield. 10
that was a crazy
gigs,
last 4 months. Yeah, I now have 3 months off, which is nice, but I did 36,000 miles in 3 months.
Wow.
That's great for frequent flyer miles, but that's a lot of being in the big bus. That's a lot.
Which is one of those things that you enjoy doing the most?
Always speaking is my number one.
Yeah.
Because speaking, I can, if I can bring you into my worldview and you're like, yeah, I agree with that guy, then maybe you'll take the next step, which is, I'll actually change the experience I'm doing. Maybe I'll actually commit money to scheduling and to training, and maybe they'll take my online sales training program, Sales RX, and actually learn how to connect with a human being instead of coming to a conference and bitching of like, yeah, it's slow. Yeah, we got all these people going on Amazon. Yeah, it sucks. I come in and they'll just say, I'm buying it. Thanks to the information, I'm buying it online, and they just keep going. And you're like, really? You just want to carry sob stories? Wouldn't you rather? How do we do better? And so when I challenge them on that usually gets a little laugh. Mm-hmm. And then I go, can we just stop the "it sucks to be me" stories? And they're like, and suddenly it's like the rain stopped, and they're like, okay. Because my whole thing is to change an audience from whatever they were at to being hopeful. Yes, it's hard to be in retail, but you know what? It's hard to be in publishing. It's hard to be in television. It's hard to be an actor. It's hard to be a playwright. It's hard to be a musician. It's hard to be an accountant. There's a million. I was working with Disney stores, and the CEO took me around, and he said, "Do you see all these 11 offices?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "These are where our lawyers used to live." I go, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Yeah, but we now replaced them with AI. We have one document that pretty much goes through, and it automatically checks so that I don't need those 11 guys anymore, and those jobs aren't coming back." So when I hear that, I think, well, I'd rather take retail over that any day, because I still don't think you're going to be able to really duplicate the experience of what it feels like to meet another human being who's been trained how to make a great customer experience.
Right.
There's a lot of people I just saying I would get a chance to meet another human being. It's like, yeah, I've done that in downtown LA. I can get some crazy, some drug people. It's not about meeting just any human being. I go to a retail store. I want an exceptional experience. Quick story. So I go into Harry Winston Jewels in oddly enough in South Coast Plaza, Costa Mesa. And I walk in. There's a very average-looking, nice young woman, right? Mm-hmm. So we're not talking a blonde Malibu girl. We're not talking a model. We're talking an average, nice young woman.
Yes.
And she says, "Good afternoon. This is the first time you've been in our store." And I go, "I have." She goes, "You know the Harry Winston story?" I said, "Well, I kind of remember the Marilyn Monroe was kind of the one." She goes, "Yeah, that was our big one." And she goes, "Have you ever seen a $500,000 diamond before?" And I go, "No, I haven't." And somehow she had magically just pulled it out from the counter and here, take a look at this. And I was just like, "That's it. You were like the bomb."
Wow.
Because I couldn't afford $1 million. It had nothing to do with that. It was like, this is our story. This is who we are. This is who I am. I'm excited about this. I just want to share it with you. And I'm like, so when I talked to another client about, I said, you got to go hire her. And he went and she said, "Oh yeah, people try to hire me all the time. I'm quite happy. I've been here for a long time." And so again, this idea that there has to be this certain person, what they look like, that's not it. It's got to be a certain person, how they make you feel. Again, what people who feel they matter buy from you. People who don't feel anything don't buy from you. And that's why they use a coupon. That's why they beat you up for a price. That's why you're in trouble. You know, a lot of retailers are in trouble right now because I feel nothing when I go in or go out of that store. And you think that your unique widget, whatever it is, pen, suit, jacket, is just, you know, I'll just see the value of it. And you're wrong. We won't. And we move on.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if we go, I think this is a great point. I'm sure it is. I mean, it seems like everything comes back to connecting with people, and I have a feeling that's one of the 3 biggest pitfalls for sure of new retailers. You know, they need to watch out in order to get success. I mean, just looking at your blog, I can tell there's a lot about connecting with people and sales and just one-on-one. And it goes a little beyond the one-on-one. It's also the store itself connecting with people, with the merchandising and how you create this environment that is welcoming.
Otherwise, you're just a pretty warehouse. That's the thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, I go to shop to feel something. I don't go to shop to be efficient. People forget that. I go in to feel something. So take me into a Anthropologie, which has amazing windows. They do an amazing visual presentation of their store. Take me into a beautiful Ted Baker, who every location is different and fun and exciting. Take me into a world and then show me what it feels like. But, you know, I was recently in Las Vegas and going through, you know, there's those malls all attached to each of the hotels. And, you know, you go into these places or you go buy them. I don't know, you got $1,000, I don't know, what's a woman's thing? Handbag. I'm like, what are they called? And meanwhile, I've got the girl behind the counter who's looking here and looking out like, you know, it sucks to be me. It's horrible to be here. And I go like, do you realize what that does against the brand? Do you realize how that undercuts the brand promise?
Right.
And you probably read my Neiman Marcus blog, which was my having gone to a Neiman Marcus at the end of December and what a horrible experience it was, mainly because the employee added nothing to the experience.
Right.
And you're $4 billion in debt.
That tells a lot.
I don't get it. If I was $4 billion in debt, I think I'd be like, thank God you're here. Please, what can I do? Let me massage your feet. How about a nice hot towel? How would you like a shave? I don't care. Can I wash your car? What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you do for, like, what's the solution though when you are, I guess, in this situation, when you're a store and your employees don't necessarily represent well the brand? Is it a problem of training?
Well, the first thing is you probably got the wrong people in the store because, you know, if you think that retail is beneath you and it sucks, and you know, it's funny. Today, Sears came out with this silly new logo called like making, and it says like making moments matter or something. And I'm like, what are you on? Like, you start with the logo. The logo means nothing. And yet
Right.
Sears used to have people who would work for 30 years, who
Hmm.
were middle-class Americans who, paid taxes and had two cars and raised a family. And we didn't look down on retail like it's this bastard profession that nobody is worthy of. And somehow we made this change. And the problem with that is that we've now settled for two things. Retailers have settled for people who don't like people and say that's the norm, who then bring their attitude. I don't like anyone to talk to me when I go into a store, so I don't want to talk to anybody else. At the same time, they've trained their customers that no service is now the norm, and we call that service because we have a kiosk or we have a self-serve checkout. And the whole notion is, and the third thing is that we've settled because you go to buy something expensive and someone pretty much treats you like crap, and you're like, oh, I just want to get in and get out.
Right.
But for God's sake, think what it takes for you to make money, enough money to get a pair of Bose headphones for $400. You're not going in there just to say, oh, give them to me. If I want to do that, I'll go to Amazon. See, that's the
Yeah.
difference. We go to buy online. We go to shop in a store, right? So we shop. We're open to things when we go into a brick and mortar store. We want to discover something new. We want to see if the one I saw online is as good as this. But if I go online, I'm looking for that one thing. And if that's what I'm going for, if you're a retailer, it's a really punishing place to expect that I'm going to walk in and say, I don't even know what this says anymore. Craftopia. Do you have that black Craftopia pen? Oh, I've never heard of that. No, we don't, because that's pretty rare. If you then just added and said, so tell me, what does a Craftopia pen do? Oh, it's a right on, right off. I use it for a whiteboard presentation. Oh, I've got something probably the same or better. Would you be interested? Sure. And there we go.
Right.
But it still takes you deciding that we can help this guy. Not my job is to say, no, get the hell out.
Right.
And I think that's the difference with retailers that get it are still going that mile to say, how do I open my heart to this person and be a running buddy instead of an adversary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And a lot of it, I feel like, comes from a lot of the time, at least in malls and cities like Toronto, big cities where retail sales associate or students or people who are not necessarily trained actually, and they don't know much about working or like helping others,
right.
or discovering what a need is, right?
Right.
And
the trouble with that is when you put them into your store, they suddenly, because they don't understand it, they think that just standing there did the job.
Mm-hmm.
And quite simply, that's not the job. And if anything, that just drives me nuts, because now they're going to be tasked. You're going to say, oh, you need to pull the online orders so we can get those out. We're going to need you to move this rack of this stuff over here to here. Look, the customer's most important thing. When someone walks in the door, everything has to stop. It's all about them. But we've gotten rid of that. I was actually at a Pottery Barn not that long ago, and this woman asked me to move because she had a clipboard. She's like, can you move, please? I'm trying to do an inventory. It's like, yeah, I can move. It was like, really? So, yeah. but they get caught up in the task, because then, we don't want them standing around, so we'll give them tasks. And then when you give them tasks, then the customer's interruption of your day, and then it just kind of spirals down, and you end up in the place, Sears or Toys R Us or some of the other people have.
Yeah. What's one thing that you see, like the most common error, I guess, you see throughout all the stores that you help? I guess one major mistake that they make.
Hire poorly, don't train them, and don't hold them accountable. It's three parts. They're always the same. Like, this person shouldn't have been on the floor, or right. This person seemed like they're nice enough, but they weren't trained. And then, or if I read somebody's training program and I go in to put it to a mark, and I'm like, oh, well, let's see what that experience is like when I go in. They haven't held anybody accountable to executing it.
Right.
So unless you do all three of those things, hire better, train better, and hold them accountable for your training, then I think you're pretty much just, you're settling for somebody who can fog the mirror. Can you work the shifts? Yes. Oh, they're alive. Good. Come on in. And then you pay them minimum wage and begrudge the fact you pay them minimum wage because they aren't helping, right? They're not really building sales. They're a cost. They're not a revenue driver, but it's just sick. And, I was in Manhattan not that long ago, well, in the winter, and I walked in a very luxury place, and we're talking $1,000 hoodies, which basically look like a Champion hoodie, but they're made by this brand. You got me. So I walk in, it's the middle of winter, and this woman, the best thing she can say to me coming in the middle of a snowstorm, would you like a bottle of water? I was like, that's it. That was the best thing you could think of. That was like, this is going to be the bomb greeting. It was like, wow, that was your best. That was like, this is it. Really?
This is a Uber driver line.
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought, like, if it was the middle of August, it was 114 out, I'm sweating. Like, wow, you saw that. But it's like, it's cold. It's really cold out. Like, and then they walk around with their hands behind their backs in felon pose. You know what that looks like? That's take your hands and you put them behind your back here, and then you just wait. You just wait. That's felon pose. And that's what most retailers are doing these days, is just waiting in felon pose, because you're probably going to steal from us, you bastard. So we gotta keep our eye on you. Right. Instead of, how are we going to sell these $1,000 hoodies? I know we got a great brand, but it's just cotton, right? It is. Yeah. How are we going to exactly get that out the door? Yeah, I don't know. Not our problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny what you say about, people are usually, when you hire people, they're supposed to be revenue generating. You talk about, they're scared that they steal from you. I work in inventory, right? And I have a company called SwiftCount, and it's inventory for retail stores. And every time we talk to somebody, they always have the thought, because we want to check if the theft. And I'm thinking, well, like things like inventory, if done properly, you can actually like fuel your customer acquisition with that, and you can actually focus on building profitability operations, see what products you want to put in promotions, and do like fun and smart things with inventory, right? Not just the fear of being stolen.
Right, know what the dating is. How long is it sitting on the shelf? What do we need to do to move it? If it's selling out too early, we want to know all of those kind of things. We really need it to be accurate, because if someone looks in the POS system, it's linked to the web, and it's going to show we have 15 units. And if someone does a buy online, pick up in store, and they say, well, it says you have 15 and you can't find them, or they really weren't there because no one checked when it came in the back side, ultimately that costs you an awful lot, because now you have people running around. Well, they've got 15. They must be here somewhere. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, totally. And those things stack up for, as like you said, the tasks that make the sales associate now not any more revenue generating. You're just tasked to do something because
you're a janitor. You're a robot. I said that in my last blog post. The robots are here. People keep saying, "Oh, robots are going to replace us." Like,
they're already
here. The hard drive went to sleep. The body's just moving along. It's not even kicking in. It's like the old. I'm sure you've had that experience when you leave work, you leave somewhere familiar, and you get home, and you're like, "How the hell did I get home?" Right? You're like in your car. Like, I don't remember getting on the freeway. It's because your brain said, "We got this. We're gonna go to sleep now. We're gonna let the old brain take over because we're not needed." So. And that's what happens in retail. If you don't challenge someone's brain, if you don't hold them accountable, you don't role play, you don't do different things. Say like, well, what if I came in with a giant shark on my head? What would you say to me? Oh, well, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, well, just picture it. And you're starting to like, well, I would do, let me think. And now you got neurons going. You're like, oh, it's fun. But it's like, yeah, it's dead here. No one's here. It's slow. I hate my job. I hate retail, right? And we wonder why when I walk in and I look at $1,000 sport coat, and all you can say is, "Can I help you find something?" Like, no, really, just go away from me. And that's the other dichotomy that we did a big survey with Oracle NetSuite, and a certain group of people said, "I would like more service," but then Centennials, the youngest generation, said, "No, I wouldn't." And I get, well, yes, if I had a bad experience, like I went into a Robert Graham store in Vegas, and I was wearing a Robert Graham, and it's like, oh, you're wearing our shirts. I guess you know the story. I do. You know, we just got this in. I saw it. Yeah, and we just got this in. I saw it, and we just got this in, and these are on several 20 stuff. Like, dude, just back off. Like, and then I turn to him, I go, you're not even wearing a Robert Graham shirt.
Right.
Oh, the one that I have is dirty. I was like, brilliant. Good job, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, those are kind of basics, aren't? I mean, this isn't. I don't think I'm like the smartest guy in the room. I just think I notice more things than most people seem to.
Yeah. Yeah, and those, like you said, they're pretty basic stuff that you can do. You should do to at least, I guess, do the minimum to promote your brand in the right way, and like wear your clothes, right?
Well, call me crazy, but I mean, it just makes you scratch your head and think: is anybody listening? Does anybody really care? And I think, well, more and more, I think people don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Yeah. And I think I was very happily surprised. I recently went and bought electronics, I mean, video and photography stuff. And I love buying electronics in stores just because even if I was not going to buy anything, I could just stay the whole day in the store just because it's way too fun to do.
Toy store. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And something I noticed is I find usually the best experience is in specialized store because the people who work there are very passionate about what they do. And the conversation I have every time is not necessarily about like trying to help me find what I need, but it always turns out being like talking about one of the product that the guy owns as well and that he uses in this way and this way too. And by the way, you can just like buy more sheets and it will make it more soft. The lighting will be better. And if you do YouTubing or vlogging, you can use that too. But if you just have a smartphone, honestly, that's fine too. You know what I mean? And it's so engaging, right?
Well, look at he's just human, just sharing his experience in life.
Right. Yeah.
I say retail, we're just sitting around the campfire. We're all just hoping somebody listens to our story. You might be the only guy that woman talks to all day.
Mm-hmm.
So why not make it a good one?
Yeah, I agree for sure.
I mean, life's too short.
Life's too short, totally. You talked about accountability, and I'm assuming there's some ways to do it operationally too. I mean, probably in the way you structure the pay or the way you structure the schedules and stuff like this. Is there anything specific that you would recommend a store to do to create this accountability thing in your employees?
So as I said, I have my online learning on salesrx.com. You can go to salesrx.com. It's Bob in a box. You can learn everything I've done in 30 years to increase your sales. And people will say, I just can't get my crew to take the training. I was like, well, how do you get them to show up on time? Oh, I'd fire them. I go, well,
there you go.
This is the same thing. I don't want to do that. Jane's been with us a long time. She's really good. It's like, if she was really good, you wouldn't have been buying the program.
Right.
But you're probably afraid of her because you've had her so long and you don't want to upset the apple cart. But I'll tell you, the apple cart's being upset because every time Amazon takes a customer, just in general, it's one less trip out into the world that you have a chance to sell. So if I'm getting a subscription to my bleach, my laundry detergent, my RX bars, whatever things that happen on a regular basis, those trips are now not happening to go to a store. So your likelihood of getting more people to come to you will continue to go down as companies like Amazon and Walmart and the rest try to take that subscription model and say you don't have to shop for these. Once you set it, you're done. Even laundry machines now or with Internet of Things will actually reorder when they're low. So when you look at that, the market's changing and you need to change as well. And the thing is you have to be brilliant on the basics. People say like, oh, our customers love us. I was like, I don't give a damn if your customers love you because at the end of the day, they're either dying or moving away. All I care about is what does a new customer feel? Because if they don't feel loved and adored and everything else, they're not going to be by. And when they aren't, they're probably going to rail on you on Facebook and tell all their buddies and say, I would never go there again. So your goal is to be exceptional every day. Even a stop clock is right twice a day. I'm not saying you can't have a good experience, but can you operate every experience is the same? Can you duplicate it so a guy who walks in first thing in the morning, a woman who walks in the middle of the afternoon, a guy who's there almost at closing time throughout your 52 stores is going to have an amazing experience? If you can't, then the place to dig is there, and not say we need to put another 20% off coupon out. We need to go through and do another fancy event where we have champagne and strawberries and we'll have people come in. It's like, that's all around the sides. You're missing the bullseye, which is, if someone came in the door, did they convert to a customer today? If they didn't, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, because you can do some better marketing and bring more people in, but if more people come in, but you convert 0%, it's not going to change much of your.
Makes it work. You've just raised up your expectations and your expenses, and have proven that you've invited to a party that's no good. Not a good idea.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it makes total sense. One thing that you would recommend new retailers to speed up their success towards profitability?
To profitability?
Yeah.
Be able to sell your full-priced merchandise.
Right.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stores open up, get full of product, and you bought it and you didn't really think about how you're going to sell it. But the worst thing is, the best stuff, because you didn't train people, you didn't understand the product, you didn't understand the customer, it sits. So now it sits, and you've been open 3 months, and now you mark it down 30% off to get it to move. And the problem with that is your untrained staff is going to now sell it at 30% off. You might pay them a bonus or a commission and say, oh, we hit goal. Great job. Not great job. Because the reason you marked it down is that price was supposed to move it. The great job is, can they move it at full price? And if you're not comfortable selling a Sonos speaker that runs $600, then don't think that your crew will be, and don't bring it in because it's pretty and you have one. If you don't know how to sell it, then you're probably going to end up selling it at a discount. And when that happens, you now have set into motion this whole idea that I have to always be promotional. And now you've trained people to wait for the coupon or the discount, and you've trained your crew that, this will be on sale in 3 months. So so while you're out, they're saying, oh, we'll just wait 3 months. This will be on sale. Or they're selling the cheaper one saying, this is just as good. And now you're wondering, why aren't sales coming up? Because you didn't do the diligence of being a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
Being a retailer is figuring it all out. Before I buy this, I like this thing, but are there enough that I can sell at a profit to live the life I want? Unless you can say yes, then why are we buying it?
Yeah.
Because
buying products, to new items to put in your inventory just because it's a hot item is not a good reason enough to be able to sell it.
Nope. Because even if people come in and they're looking for, like, what is this thing? And you can't make a compelling argument why it's great for them. You don't know how to build rapport, discover the shopper, make a customer. It's probably gonna sit, and you're gonna say, oh yeah, that vendor that just doesn't sell in my market. No, it's not about that. It's about you.
Yeah. And I'm assuming all of these great information is obviously in your it's all over all your information online, but I'm assuming it's also part of Sales RX.
It is. I've kind of, my model is kind of like Gary V. I have so much free stuff out there. You could probably, I have like 900 articles on my site alone. But look, I'm not to change the world by the people working and shopping and retail. If we can make somebody feel they matter, then the world's going to be a lot smaller, and we're going to have people that are not going to be built into this camp of you're a jerk and you're a jerk. But until that happens, I got a lot of work to do. So yeah, certainly you go to retaildoc.com. You can find out about me as a motivational speaker. I've worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. You can certainly find out about my consulting. I just did a great makeover of a farm machine equipment. It was a big challenge that I was given for 5 months, and we transformed it basically from a corrugated shed to a amazing retail showplace. And also I do in-person retail sales training, and then for people who are all around the world, I think we're training 10,000 people around the world who I've never met right now with my online training, which is everything I know about retail in a systematic approach so that anybody can understand, how do I build rapport? How do I discover the shopper? How do I make a customer?
Yeah. I like to say that retail out of the box is broken, especially those days, because we're kind of messed up with the online world. But there are definitely great ways out there, like Bob's programs to, to get better and get the shortcuts to what works, and don't just waste time of not actually even enjoying what you're doing. So
that's it. And you got to have fun with it. That's exactly right. If you're not laughing on your sales floor, something's probably wrong. If you find something funny when you're talking to a customer, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Right.
Because all of it should be able to be funny.
The party should be in the store.
My thing is the party's in the aisles, baby, not behind the counter.
Right.
I don't want to find out what Jane did this weekend. I want to find out what that guy did. I met Tom. I met several. I met Chris Christopherson one time in one of my stores. I met Tom Clancy. I met a lot of different people over the time, but they're just people. And if you're willing to just not be caught up in your own stuff, you can at least be interested. If Mark Zuckerberg walked into your store today in his flip-flops and his faded jeans and his hoodie, would your crew recognize him as the guy who could probably buy, I don't know, all of Canada? Probably not. We treat him a certain way, right? And that's the problem. And if you don't believe me, if you're a guy, go walk into a sewing store and see how you feel when you don't know what it is. Or for women, I don't know what the opposite thing would be. But whatever you're totally different than you, go into a store like that and see how it feels. And then you suddenly realize what a new customer might feel like walking into your store for the first time. And when you see that, then you're like, well, I don't want to have that experience. And then you start working at, well, what do I want? And then you can figure out what a branded shopping experience feels like. So it's been good talking with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again. One question I like to ask is, what is one thing that you really enjoy buying from stores? That's your thing. You will never buy this online or anywhere else.
I am the shirt king of the world. I don't have it today. This is a Ted Baker, though. I am wearing Ted, but you find me on I'm at home, so today I'm pretty casual. But if I was, when I travel, you're going to know me when I'm traveling. I'll either have Robert Graham is one of my brands, although I've got some other new ones that, in fact, I was in Saks in Manhattan. Their new flagship, which you haven't been there, is amazing with this glass escalator that is multicolored dichroic glass. It's amazing. And I'm walking through the store and this guy's like, that's amazing. It's a floral jacket. It's like a blue floral. It's amazing. And this guy says, where'd you get that? I go, I got it from you. And he says, what? I said, yeah, I got it from your store in Palm Desert. He goes, let me see the brand. I don't think I've even seen that. And that excitement about like, how did I miss that? That's exactly why he was in luxury retail, because he was curious and he saw, he noticed it and he was willing to say something about it. And then he talked about, well, when I wear them, my suits are a little differently. And we had that little moment, just that much of a human meeting another human being. So to me, that's the thing that so many people miss. And what makes shopping really fun is when you can connect with that, and you don't have to be able to buy the $400 shirt. You just know how great it would be to be the guy that can do it, because that'll be you one day. That'll be you. So what? It's like, what was it? This is the guy, Jim Carrey. And the story goes that he, before The Mask, he drives up on Mulholland Boulevard and he just looks out over LA. He goes, I already own all of this. I just haven't taken possession yet. And I'm like, I love that. Right? The idea is that I already have this. It's just a matter of me waiting enough. Well, that's a better place to play, isn't it, than saying it sucks to be me and Amazon's this and online's that and traffic's down and tariffs are up and all this other, shut up, Because it all changes with the next person walking in the door. That's what I would want your retailers to think, that, if hopefully you watch this, you take some action with it, great. But it all starts with when you walk out that door and that next person walk in. Very few businesses can change their trajectory that easily.
Bob, thanks again. And see you on the next one.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Wasn't that awesome? Hey, I've got a free live webinar for you called Inventory Hacks, happening in the next few days that's going to help you specifically with putting true inventory management on autopilot in your store. If you've been struggling with inventory, sucking up all your time and available cash, then you need this webinar because, among other things, it reveals how to accurately know your inventory levels without struggling with consistency or needing highly qualified employees. Go to inventoryhacks.com and save your spot now for free. The reason why I'm doing this is because by working with store owners and giving them the tools to manage their stores, I realized that a big pattern in their success was not the tools alone, but how they were using them in very specific ways. And unless I share with you what I see, the systems successful store owners have in place to get their time and cash back, then I won't be able to help you with the tools. So all I need to do is go to inventoryhacks.com and register your free spot. This webinar is happening live, and it is limited to only 100 spots, so make sure to secure it now. Don't wait the last minute when there are no more spots available. So just to recap, you're getting live access to our free webinar, Inventory Hacks. This will help you implement true inventory management on autopilot in your store, including how to accurately know your inventory levels without struggling with consistency or needing highly qualified employees. Just go to inventoryhacks.com and save your seat now. I will see you on the webinar.